Good evening, Malaysia. I am Christy Yong.
And this is me, Selena Sim, and you're watching BRB English News. Let us have a glance at the headlines today.
Jocelyn Chia is wanted by the Malaysian authorities through the help of international police.
Malaysian ringgit decreases to a record low of 3.41 against the Singapore dollar.
The scorching weather in Malaysia is causing people to get heat stroke.
Disney's latest movie, The Little Mermaid, has caused a lot of heated discussion among people worldwide.
Welcome back. Jocelyn Chia is wanted by the Malaysian authorities through the help of international police. We want to know how the people think about this.
My country, Singapore, after we gained independence from the British, we were a struggling little nation. In order to survive, we formed a union with a larger, more powerful country, Malaysia.
A stand-up comedian, Jocelyn Chia, has enraged Malaysia. She posted a video of her performance at New York's Comedy Cellar. She compares Malaysia and Singapore's ties to a relationship that had broken up.
When my Prime Minister went on TV to announce that you guys had dumped us, he cried because he thought we're not going to survive without you. But then 40 years later, we became a first world country. And you guys, Malaysia, what are you now? Still a developing country. Oh, boo. You, Malaysia. Isn't that the best breakup revenge? Now Malaysia, y'all trying to come around like, hey, Singapore, you're looking good lah. And you're like, yeah, I tried, but you know, my airplanes cannot fly. What? Malaysian Airlines going missing, not funny, huh? Some jokes don't land. This joke kills in Singapore.
Outraged Malaysians have called Jocelyn Chia's jokes about MH370 distasteful. They pointed out that the families of the victims are still grieving over the tragedy.
I get a bad Yelp review from the Malaysians. It's okay, they don't have internet.
In fact, the Inspector General of Malaysian Police, Tan Sri Akriosani Abdullah Sani, said the police will seek Interpol's help to locate Jocelyn Chia for running down Malaysia on her comedian show. What is the opinion of the Malaysian about this incident?
Yeah, the comedian which speaks something not really so good to our Malaysia. Actually, I think she's quite rude, and especially she's not respect to the MH370 cases passengers and also the victim, their families, because they talking and having the joke and fun with them. Actually, I think for a stand-up comedian, they should not be like this. For me, personally, actually, I watch stand-up comedy show and I quite like it, but for this, I don't think they actually follow the ethics. Yeah.
Yes, I do. I think the joke is a little over to me. I personally think that it touches my baseline, and it's not a suitable joke. It's not a suitable joke, I would say.
Yeah, I know. Actually, she is an American stand-up comedian, and the case is, she say that she made a comparison by the Singapore and the Malaysia. Singapore is become a first world country. So in Malaysia, it's still the developing country. So it's made like a job, like comparison our country developments, and also the case of our MH307 flight, right, the incidents, yeah. But in my case, I think that she cannot be like a job as saying that these incidents. It's like, because this is a sad case, right? But if she say like that, make a job, so it's not considering the others people feelings. Yeah.
Yes, I do. For me, the joke is not fun enough because because the joke for me has a lack of delivery in my case. Edit jokes can be funny, but the delivery must be good enough for me, and this case it's not really that case.
So you find it offensive, right? The joke itself.
Offensive, not really, but I can understand why people get offensive because comedy is subjective.
I think it means for the Malaysia to do or for just India?
Malaysian police.
For the Malaysian police, actually, I think not really need to come into the Interpol, and this section seems like so serious, but actually she's affecting our both countries, Malaysia and Singapore, our relationship. So I think actually they can just give the warning about it, and yeah, I think that's it. Not really need the Interpol.
As long as it's legal, I think it should be fine.
I don't think so, because the first is everyone got the freedom of speech, right? So you want to speak like speech like this, I think it's no problem. But as a comedian, you need to control the guidelines. You cannot, how to say, the first is not, she is not offends the criminal case or anything. So I think she need to make an apologize by the media or to the Malaysians, right? And our Malaysian police is not suitable to wanted up she, yeah, in my opinion.
No, I don't think it's a appropriate thing to do, because she's only saying a joke, and although the joke is not funny enough and it's really tasteless in my opinion, it does not promote hate speech, nor does it give bad influence to people. So I don't think it's appropriate to get wanted by the police.
Thank you. Moving on to the finance news.
The Malaysian ringgit sank to an all-time low on June 13, plummeting to RM 3.4384 against the Singapore dollar. Year to date, the ringgit is among the worst performing currencies, only second after the Japanese yen. The ringgit has also fallen 4.5% against the US dollar, second after the 5.9% decline in the Japanese yen. Analysts said the strong US dollar and Singapore dollar on one hand and weaker than expected economy data on the other have pummeled the value out of the ringgit.
Erica Capital CEO Danny Wong says the fall in the ringgit is mainly due to the strength of the US dollar, which has been on an uptrend following the US Federal Reserve's aggressive rate hikes. Furthermore, he says Malaysia's exposure to China in terms of trade and economy is concerning, as the market is looking at a slowing China.
Malaysian ringgit continued to weaken against the Singapore dollar and decreased to a fresh low of 3.4102 on Wednesday. Earlier in the week, Bloomberg data showed the currency rate fell from 3.38 on Monday to 3.39 on Tuesday. The previous low of 3.3764 was seen last November. With the latest drop, the Sing dollar value has increased by 4.15% against the ringgit since the start of the year. For further details, we have our reporter, Nicole Lim, with us. Nicole, can you hear me? Kindly tell us more about the information gathered in your interview session.
Yes, I can hear you. The Malaysian ringgit continued to weaken against the Singapore dollar. According to the latest situation, the Malaysian ringgit has now weakened to the record-breaking 3.45. We are here today to hear people's opinions about this.
Well, not just against the Singapore dollar, I think the Malaysian ringgit has weakened as a whole, and it has sort of affected the purchasing power for most of the people around. Prices are going up, inflation's going up too, so it doesn't help that our currency is just, we're buying less with the same amount of money as we were previous years. So of course, with Singapore hitting like 3.4, I think, or 3.45 right now, people are more tempted to actually look abroad there to look for jobs over there, and we don't blame them because it's a factor for some people who want to try to earn a proper living. So it could cause a brain drain from Malaysia. For even fresh graduates, when they graduate here, they look over there straight away instead of trying to keep the knowledge and build the country from over here. So in the short term, it's definitely an issue. We'll have to see what sort of policies also of initiatives that the government can come up with to actually help the job market and also to boost our economy and our currency in the short and the medium term.
They are stronger in their financial, and where else Malaysia now are going through political issue and elections will be here. And American dollars are part of the world conquering system, whereas China is trying to beat them on the monopoly of US dollar. That's what I think.
I think that Malaysian ringgit is getting worse day by day. So basically, I think that is because the corruption case, also the national debt of Malaysia is getting higher. The ex-PM of the Muhammad Najib is arrested in a corruption case. So and maybe I think so is somehow the reason of the Malaysian ringgit is getting worse and compared to the Singapore dollar.
So in my opinion, obviously it depends on the import-export mix, and also how investors view the Malaysian ringgit versus Singapore dollar. But in general, I think most people view Singapore as a more developed economy. It's a safe haven. So when there's there's a prospect of a recession happening, most investors would rather park their money in Singapore dollars versus in Malaysian assets. So, and most wealthy investors, if you gave them a choice to live, they probably choose Singapore, but mainly because of tax reasons. Tax reasons, safe haven, they have a lot of luxury assets there. So
yes, of course I have relative.
Yeah, of course. My secondary school friend is studying in Singapore, but the living cost in Singapore, however, is low. But if we compare to the Malaysian ringgit, is getting higher because the Malaysian ringgit is depreciating.
Yeah, I do. I've got some friends, some relatives. They have been in Singapore for some there for short term, some of them for over 20 years. So yeah.
I don't have relatives, but I do have friends who work there, and they do feel that Singapore is getting more and more unaffordable. Yeah, because when the Singapore dollar is strong, yes, it means that that they can import things cheaper, but at the same time, it does mean that inflation, that there's some sort of inflation going on. Yeah, so interest rates are rising, and therefore the value of the currency is going up. Yeah.
Of course, it will impact all business in Malaysia, where we use transaction using US currency and Singapore dollars, especially those in JB that are dealing with Singapore items that comes in JB. Of course, it will be impact for the currency exchange.
Yes, of course. Yes, because I'm affairs of Taylor Swift, and Taylor Swift of only open the concert in Singapore rather than Malaysia, because like the Malaysia is like somehow getting worse in the global economy, and the Taylor Swift maybe like she think that Singapore is better than Malaysia, so I only can go for the concert in Singapore and rather than Malaysia, because Malaysia is somehow getting worse lah. Okay.
Me?
Like the currency and stuff.
Yes, as a whole, because for myself, I've got family, we've got a lot of expenses to go to, for children's education, for our basic needs, and just the general prices of everything going up. It definitely has an impact. You just have to see how we can go by with our situation today. What can we do with the money that we have, and probably have to give up certain luxuries, but probably have to change the brands that we buy or change the activities that we do. So in the short term, medium term, definitely there's an impact. In the longer term, it'll probably be even worse if this continues on. So yeah, personally, it will affect, but we just have to manage it within ourselves to live within our means.
Me personally?
Yeah, personally.
No, because so as a retailer, a lot of things that we do import are priced in US dollars. Yeah. And right now, the US dollar is quite strong against the ringgit. Also, same reasons. The US dollar is a safe haven. Because the whole world is going through recession now, companies like Facebook, Amazon, Twitter, whatever, all laying off employees, Apple as well. So when things like that happen, typically people buy US dollar assets, and basically the US dollar becomes stronger. Yeah. And Malaysia also, like, not to say we're going through a recession, but our central bank is raising interest rates very strongly because of inflation as well. So hopefully it will balance out, but I think they are fighting a losing battle. Yeah.
Thank you for updating us, Nicole. Welcome back. Now it is time for weather news. We all have noticed the extreme weather here in Malaysia lately. The scorching weather is even causing people to get heat stroke. Our reporter here to give us further details.
Hi everyone, we are now at one of the crowd area in Kuala Lumpur. The extremely hot weather region is unbearable and some of the people are suffering from heat stroke. We are now at the center area of Bukit Bintang. We are here to ask people opinion about this and see how they deal with this extreme weather. It is me, Lin Pei Yi.
最近天气我本人觉得是蛮热的啦。
I think the weather now is hotter than before.
The weather it's warm and it's humid, but I like it. I'm Australian, so I'm used to the heat. Yeah.
Okay.
还好咯，其实还好啦。
Of course, it affects. When I walk in the campus, I always feel sweat.
It does, because I have to think about the clothes that I wear. Yeah. Yes and no. Maybe I drink more water, so maybe it's better for me. Maybe.
Okay.
中暑啊，说法是没有啦。
I think maybe I got last month. Maybe I'm not sure it's heat stroke or not.
What's the symptom?
I think it's like the throat not feeling well. My throat not feeling well, and always sweating. I think.
When I was in Australia, when I was about 12, I went to the beach and then came home on the bus, and the bus started to spin, and I felt like I was going to vomit, and then I just fell to the ground. But I was hot, and yeah, so I had to have cold compresses and drink water, like have IV, and have for about 2 days I was sick. Yeah.
我本身是喝多点水咯，尽量是躲在冷气房里面啦。
Just drink more water than before, and also stay in the air conditioner room.
Stay out of the sun. If you start to feel dehydrated, drink water. Take breaks. Okay. So, I mean, in a shopping centre like this, maybe not an issue. Maybe you'll get a cold because of the air conditioning. But if people aren't used to the heat, maybe it's a problem. Maybe, yeah.
Thank you, Pei. It is time for a short commercial break. Stay with us.
I've got an idea for a Heinz ketchup commercial. I was at this super posh restaurant. Super posh. The type of place that has chandeliers and paintings on the wall and way too many forks. I think classical music was playing, but maybe it was jazz. No, definitely classical. The hostess walks up to me and she said, "Mr. Xiamen, is this your first time dining with us?" And I say, "Yep." The waiter comes over, he's telling me about the specials. Super fancy vegetables, fancy sauces. I said, "Sounds fancy." So fast forward and the food comes. The waiter goes on to tell me, "We are proud to present this farm-to-table blah blah blah, posh and fancy blah blah blah, with a side of blah blah blah." You know, the food looked good. I just thought there was something missing. So I reach into my bag and I take out the only thing that can complete me. And at that point, the whole world came to a stop. And the waiter was screaming through his eyes. So that's my idea. Do you want to do it?
The Disney movie, The Little Mermaid, has received different kinds of opinions ever since its screening in cinema. One of the major issues is their casting. Disney got rid of their previous principle, which is that the cast needed to fit into the role. They chose a completely different actor, a black woman, to portray the main role in the movie, Ariel. When it comes to the hottest, greatest hits and most talked about movie lately, there's no other movie than the live-action remake version of The Little Mermaid published by Disney. Disney's live-action take on The Little Mermaid is doing swimmingly at the United States box office, with a 3-day opening of $95.5 million and a 4-day projection of $117.5 million. The offshore launch is lower than hope for coming into the frame. But it bears noting there was something fishy going on in overseas market with so-called review bombing in such areas as France, Korea, Germany, and the Asia countries, which including Malaysia. The movie has grossed a mere $3.6 million in its first 10 days of release in China, by far the worst showing among Disney's live-action adaptations. On the rating portals of Korea's Naver over the past several days, there had been a trend of negative reviews receiving hundreds of likes and positive reviews getting hundreds of thumbs down. This happens mainly because of the controversial casting of this movie. The main character in this movie, Ariel, was replaced from the animation version of the red-haired white character to a black woman actress and singer, Halle Bailey.
Hi, I love you. Oh, thank you so much. I had to. Yeah, I got a little red. I know, you look like...
He's a human. You're a mermaid.
That doesn't make us enemies.
further details, we have our reporter Stephanie with us. Stephanie, kindly update our viewers.
Hi everyone, we are now at the Nadi Cinema in Kuala Lumpur, India. Recently, there are many discussions related to the cast of the movie, The Little Mermaid. We are here today to hear people's opinion about the movie. That's all from me and Stephanie.
Yes, I've watched the movie The Little Mermaid and I actually liked it. So yeah, I really liked it. It was a nice movie.
Yes.
Yes, I know it's released on this year, 25 May.
I think the cast is amazing, and I think the first thing that I noticed and the first thing that I liked about the movie is the main thing actually is that it's I think the first time that I see this kind of fantasy movies that have this much inclusivity. So basically, Little Mermaid is black, I believe, right? And there also the cast, there's Indians, there are white people, there's black women. And I just love how they're trying to include more people of color and people from different minorities, into these movies. And actually, this means a lot for minorities because it represents the minorities around the world, not only in the U.S. So I think that's the main thing, and I really like the movie. It's actually a nice movie. Yeah. And I think a lot of people like this, quite famous right now, right? I think it's for good reasons. So yeah.
Yeah.
So not quite like the one I watched in my childhood. Yeah.
I think it's acceptable for me if I don't watch the movie as a realistic of the Little Mermaid Disney cartoon. So I watch the movie as my perspective with like an independent movie. It's like another movie that I haven't seen before, and this will make me less disappointed because we always want to be like classical scene in this movie, but seems like the reality, Disney wants every religion or races to be equality. So yeah, we can't expect so many.
I think the characters are not fit. The cartoon version of Little Mermaid had taken as inverted in people's mind. Because from the beginning, from the Cinderella and the Beauty and the Beast, the characters are very fit to the cartoon version. And so when I watch The Little Mermaid, I really get upset for the characters. And also I think that it's really hard for a person to relate to the cartoon version too, like before.
Viewers, we have got a breaking news. A member of the Royal Malaysian Air Force, RMAF, was killed and 2 other instructors were seriously injured in a bomb blast during a training session at the Syed Sirajuddin Air Force Camp. The Royal Air Force Institute of Administration and Management said the accident occurred during a weapons firing and bomb throwing training. Sources say the bomb exploded during the training, killing a member of the Air Force on the spot, while the other 2 instructors suffered serious injuries and were rushed to Segambut Hospital for the treatment. The Royal Malaysian Air Force said it would issue an official statement on the incident as soon as possible. That's all for the breaking news. That is it for today. For further information, remember to follow us on all social media. Till next time, take care.
Have a pleasant evening and goodbye.